Okay, let's just dive right in. Have you ever wondered if there's a better way to learn an instrument? Something other than just grinding away for hours and hours. Well, guess what? There is. Today, we're going to break down the actual science behind learning effectively, and we'll use a simple music app as our guide to unlock 3 huge secrets to practicing smarter, not harder.
We've all been there, right? You sit down to practice, you're feeling inspired, but pretty soon it just feels like you're hitting a wall. You're just repeating the same mistakes over and over again. That frustration, that feeling of a grind, yeah, that's a universal part of learning, but it absolutely doesn't have to be the whole story.
So here's the big takeaway. The solution isn't just more hours, it's a better method. There's a powerful science to learning well, and it's built on these core psychological principles that can literally transform your practice sessions from a total chore into a focused, and believe it or not, even fun path to getting good. So let's break down that first secret. And that brings us right to our first pillar, deliberate practice. Now, this is not just about mindless repetition. It's about practicing with a very specific purpose. This is the foundation for building any skill efficiently and effectively.
So, what exactly is deliberate practice? Well, think of it as a highly structured, super focused way to get better. Instead of just playing a piece from start to finish and hoping for the best, you zero in on specific goals, you get immediate feedback on what you're doing right or wrong, and you really concentrate on the parts that need the most work.
Now, let's see how our little case study app actually puts this into action. First, it isolates one single skill, note recognition. That's it. No rhythm, no fingering, just identifying the note. Second, you get instant feedback, correct or incorrect. That's so critical for learning fast. And third, the short sessions encourage this focused repetition, which builds your speed and accuracy over time.
Now, inside this idea of deliberate practice, there's a key technique called chunking. Think about it. Trying to learn every single note on the grand staff all at once, it's completely overwhelming. Chunking is the secret sauce that makes these huge challenges feel small and actually achievable.
And you can see exactly how the app chunks the whole task. You start on easy, right? You're just focusing on one clef. Simple. Once you've got that down, that chunk, you move to normal to bring in both clefs. And then finally, you tackle hard with all the sharps and flats. Each level builds on a last, so the whole process feels totally manageable and keeps you motivated.
All right, so let's move on to our second pillar. Once you start building those mechanical skills, the next secret is all about freeing up your brain, so you can move from just playing the notes to, actually making music.
This whole thing is based on something called cognitive load theory. Now, it sounds kind of academic, but the idea is actually profound and simple. Our working memory, the part of our brain juggling information right now, can only handle so much at once. If you overload it, you basically stop learning.
Seriously, think of it like a computer that has very little RAM. What happens when you open too many programs? It slows to a crawl, and eventually it just crashes. Our brains work the exact same way. So the goal of smart practice is to automate the basics so they don't take up any of that precious mental space. And here is the real payoff. Look at this. A beginner's brain is totally consumed with the basics. What is this note? What's the fingering? But once that stuff becomes automatic, the expert's brain is free to focus on what really matters: the phrasing, the dynamics, the harmony, the actual artistry. And that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? As the source material puts it so perfectly, by reducing that cognitive load, you can finally free the music within. You're no longer just a technician, you become an artist. But how do you stay motivated long enough to even get there? That brings us to our third and final pillar, harnessing the incredible power of play to keep you going when things get tough. The secret here is something called gamification. And all this is taking the fun and engaging parts of games, points, goals, rewards, and applying them to a non-game task, like, say, practicing your scales or learning notes. And our app does this brilliantly. It uses rewards like gems to give you this little hit of positive reinforcement. It sets really clear goals like reaching a target star, which gives your practice a purpose, and it tracks your progress visually to build that momentum and keep you coming back for more. But here's the deeper magic. Gamification isn't really just about the external rewards. It's not about the gems. It's a tool to build something way more powerful: intrinsic motivation. And that's the drive to do something for the pure joy and satisfaction of doing it. And this is absolutely critical. Why? Because your initial enthusiasm, it will dip. There are going to be days you just don't want to practice.
Intrinsic motivation is the fuel that gets you through those tough spots and keeps you committed to your journey for the long haul.
So, let's put this all together. When you combine these 3 pillars, you don't just get 3 separate ideas. You create this powerful, self-reinforcing system for learning.
First, you have deliberate practice, which builds your foundational skills with laser-like efficiency. Then, as those skills become automatic, you reduce your cognitive load. That frees your mind to focus on expression and artistry. And finally, gamification keeps you engaged and motivated, making sure you stick with it long enough to see those real results.
And that's really the key takeaway here. These principles, they aren't just tricks to beat a level in an app. They are the fundamental building blocks for creating a rock-solid foundation, the kind that allows you to move beyond just the mechanics and tap into true musical expression.
So I'll leave you with this question. Whether it's learning a new language, a coding skill, or mastering an instrument, just think about it. How can you use deliberate practice, reduce your cognitive load, and find a way to make it playful? Because the secrets to smarter learning, well, they're now yours to use.